Harry Potter and the 3DGR. Prologue. The discovery of the 3DGR. In the quiet depths of their shared laboratory, Dylan E.T., Aaron Sawyer, and Serafina delved into the mysteries of magical mathematics. Bound by a common curiosity and a thirst for knowledge, the trio embarked on a journey fueled by intellect and intuition. It was Dylan E.T., the Muggle discoverer of the 3DGR, who first conceived the notion of applying the golden ratio to a shape with equal edges but unequal line lengths. With his expertise in both Muggle technology and magical theory, Dylan E.T. brought a unique perspective to their research. Serafina, once Aaron Sawyer's clairvoyant familiar, lent her alchemical insights to the endeavor. Drawing upon her deep connection to the magical realm, she served as the guiding intelligence behind the computations that unveiled the dimensions of the enigmatic shape they sought. And Aaron Sawyer, the paragon of war, wielded his wand with precision and purpose, weaving spells of creation to manifest the shape into existence. With each flick of his elm wand, infused with the essence of dragon string, Aaron Sawyer breathed life into their mathematical musings, transforming theory into tangible reality. As the shape materialized before them, shimmering with arcane energy, Dylan E.T. was struck by a revelation. He saw beyond the physical form of the shape, envisioning its potential to revolutionize magical practices. With a spark of inspiration, he proposed a daring experiment, the creation of synchronic wands bound to the vertices of the shape, tapping into its inherent power and symmetry. With their sights set on the horizon, the trio embraced the challenge that lay ahead. Their quest to forge a second wand for Aaron Sawyer, rooted in the principles of the 3DGR, would lead them down a path of discovery and adventure beyond their wildest dreams. And so, with determination in their hearts and magic at their fingertips, Dylan E.T., Aaron Sawyer, and Serafina embarked on a journey that would forever alter the course of magical history. Chapter 1: The Rebirth of Magic. The summer of 1998 was a time of both joy and sorrow in the wizarding world. The echoes of the Second Wizarding War still reverberated through the corridors of Hogwarts' School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where the scars of battle marred the ancient stone walls. But amidst the devastation, there was hope. Hope for rebuilding, for healing, and for forging a new future from the ashes of the past. Harry Potter stood at the threshold of his childhood home, gazing out at the familiar sight of Privet Drive. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the neatly trimmed lawns and tidy suburban streets. It was a scene of suburban normalcy, a stark contrast to the turmoil that had engulfed the wizarding world just months before. As he watched the world go by, Harry couldn't help but feel a sense of restlessness stirring within him. The war was over, Voldemort defeated, but the scars of battle still lingered, both on his body and in his mind. He had faced death and darkness, stood on the brink of despair, and emerged victorious, but at what cost? Turning away from the window, Harry ascended the stairs to his room, where the memories of his past adventures lay scattered amidst the clutter of books, quills, and magical artifacts. Here, in the quiet solitude of his sanctuary, he could reflect on the events that had shaped him, the friends who had stood by his side, and the sacrifices that had been made in the name of love and loyalty. Sitting down at his desk, Harry took out a piece of parchment and began to write, the words flowing from his quill with a sense of urgency born of the knowledge that the world was changing, and he with it. Dear Hermione, Ron, I hope this letter finds you both well. It feels strange to be back at Privet Drive, surrounded by Muggle mundanity after everything that has happened. Sometimes, it's hard to believe that it's all over, that Voldemort is gone for good. But I suppose that's the nature of endings, they give way to new beginnings. I miss Hogwarts, our home away from home, and I miss you both more than words can say. It's strange to think that we won't be returning for another year of classes, another year of adventures. But perhaps it's time for a new chapter in our lives, a chance to explore the world beyond the castle walls. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that we'll face it together, as we always have. So, here's to new beginnings, to old friends, and to the magic that binds us all. Until we meet again, Harry. With a sense of finality, Harry folded the letter and sealed it with wax, the scar on his forehead tingling faintly as if in acknowledgement of the words he had written. Then, rising from his desk, he made his way downstairs, ready to teleport toward whatever adventures awaited him in the world beyond. Chapter 2, The Memorial of Remembrance. The morning sun rose over Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, casting a warm glow over the grounds where the students and teachers alike gathered in solemn anticipation. It was a day of remembrance, a day to honor the brave souls who had given their lives in the fight against Voldemort and his dark forces. Harry Potter awoke with a sense of anticipation tingling in his scar, a feeling he had come to associate with moments of great significance. Rubbing his eyes sleepily, he rose from his bed and made his way to the window, where he gazed out at the scene unfolding below. In the center of the courtyard stood a scaffolding draped in black cloth, surrounded by a crowd of witches and wizards paying their respects to the fallen. And towering above it all, bathed in the morning light, was the figure of Albus Dumbledore, immortalized in stone. As Harry watched, a sense of awe washed over him. Dumbledore, the greatest wizard of his time, had been a mentor, a friend, and a guiding light in the darkness. And now, his likeness stood as a beacon of hope, a reminder of the sacrifices made in the name of freedom and justice. But it was not just Dumbledore who was being honored this day. Surrounding the statue were smaller pedestals, each bearing the names of those who had fought and died alongside him. Remus Lupin, Sirius Black, Fred Weasley, and countless others whose bravery would never be forgotten. As Harry descended the stairs to join the crowd below, he felt a sense of pride swell within him. These were his friends, his comrades in arms, and their legacy lived on in the hearts of those who had survived. But amidst the pride, there was also a profound sense of loss, a reminder of the price that had been paid for victory. Reaching the courtyard, Harry found himself drawn to the base of the statue, where a wreath of lilies lay in honor of those who had fallen. He placed his hand upon the cold stone, feeling the rough texture beneath his fingers, and whispered a silent prayer for peace. And as he stood there, surrounded by the echoes of the past and the promise of the future, Harry knew that this moment would stay with him forever. For in the shadow of Dumbledore's statue, amidst the names of the fallen, he found strength, courage, and the resolve to carry on the fight, no matter the cost. Chapter 3, A Reunion at the Leaky Cauldron. The cobblestones of Diagon Alley gleamed in the morning sunlight, bustling with witches and wizards eager to begin their day. The familiar sights and sounds filled Harry Potter with a sense of nostalgia as he made his way toward the Leaky Cauldron. His firebolt slung over his shoulder, the invisibility cloak and his trusty holly wand tucked safely in his enchanted moleskin pouch, he felt a twinge of excitement. Today, he would reunite with Ron and Hermione, his dearest friends and partners in countless adventures. The old pub was much as Harry remembered it, with its low ceiling and worn wooden beams exuding a comforting, timeless atmosphere. As he pushed open the door, the scent of butterbeer and roasted meat wafted through the air, mingling with the faint tang of potion ingredients from the nearby shops. Spotting Ron's bright red hair at a corner table, Harry's face broke into a wide grin. Ron Weasley was hunched over a plate of bacon and eggs, his deluminator resting beside him, and across from him sat Hermione Granger, her beaded bag resting on the table next to a steaming cup of tea. Both looked up as Harry approached, their faces lighting up with delight. "Harry!" Hermione exclaimed, rising to embrace him. "It's so good to see you. About time you showed up," Ron teased, a broad smile spreading across his face. "We were beginning to think you'd decided to stay at Privet Drive forever." Harry laughed, taking a seat and setting his belongings down. "I missed you both too much to stay away any longer." The three friends exchanged stories of their summer, the conversation flowing as easily as it always had. They spoke of the past battles, the memories of those lost, and the hopes for the future. There was a sense of camaraderie that was unshakable, forged through years of shared hardship and triumph. Hermione glanced around the bustling pub before leaning in closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "We received an owl from Kingsley this morning." Harry's interest was immediately piqued. "What did he say?" Ron pulled a folded piece of parchment from his pocket, smoothing it out on the table. "He's got a mission for us, something important and top secret. We're to go to the rainforest in Washington State, America." Harry's eyes widened in surprise. "America? What could be so important over there?" "Kingsley didn't say much in the letter," Hermione replied, her brow furrowing. "But it was clear that this mission is of the utmost importance and must be kept completely confidential." "We're to leave as soon as possible," Ron added, excitement and curiosity twinkling in his eyes. "First, we need to gather supplies from Diagon Alley." Harry nodded, feeling the familiar thrill of a new adventure coursing through him. "Then we'd better get started. We'll need potions, some new robes, and perhaps some enchanted items to help us navigate the rainforest." Hermione nodded, ticking off items on an imaginary list. "We should also get some updated spellbooks and perhaps visit the apothecary for some special ingredients. We don't know what we might encounter over there." As they finished their breakfast and settled their tab with Tom, the friends stood and made their way to the back of the pub. The anticipation of the journey ahead lent a spring to their steps. Reaching the hidden courtyard, Hermione retrieved her wand from her beaded bag. "All right, then. Who wants to do the honors?" Harry and Ron exchanged a glance, then grinned at Hermione. "You go ahead," Ron said, motioning for her to step forward. With a practiced flick of her wand, Hermione tapped the familiar sequence of bricks. The wall began to shift and transform, each brick moving aside to reveal the bustling thoroughfare of Diagon Alley. As the last brick slid into place, Harry, Ron, and Hermione stepped forward, ready to begin their preparations for the unknown mission that awaited them. The familiar sights of the alley filled them with a sense of purpose and excitement. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, just as they always had. With determination in their hearts and magic at their fingertips, the trio entered Diagon Alley, the whispers of their past adventures mingling with the promise of new discoveries and the unknown mysteries of the American rainforest. Chapter 4: Familiars of Diagon Alley. Diagon Alley thrummed with the vibrant hum of witches and wizards going about their daily business. Harry, Ron, and Hermione navigated through the bustling crowds, their eyes scanning the familiar shops that lined the cobbled street. Their first stop was a shop that had always captured their imaginations, the Magical Menagerie. The Magical Menagerie, a small, rickety shop crammed with cages, tanks, and magical creatures of all kinds, beckoned them with its colorful storefront and cacophony of sounds. Harry pushed open the door, and they were immediately enveloped in the warm, musty smell of hay and fur, mixed with the more exotic sense of magical creatures. Hermione's eyes sparkled with excitement as they stepped inside. "I've always wanted to get a proper familiar," she said, her voice filled with anticipation. "Me too," Harry agreed, looking around at the array of creatures. "Let's see what they have." The shop was a whirlwind of activity. Cages lined the walls, filled with an assortment of magical creatures. There were screech owls, fluttering golden snidgets, and sleek measles. Hermione's gaze was immediately drawn to a cage containing a regal-looking cat with sleek fur and intelligent, amber eyes. "Oh, Harry, Ron, look at this one!" Hermione exclaimed, moving closer to the cage. "Isn't she beautiful?" The cat, a half-kneazle with tufted ears and a plume-like tail, regarded Hermione with a penetrating stare. There was an instant connection, a mutual recognition that this was meant to be. "I think she likes you, Hermione," Harry said with a smile. "What will you name her?" Hermione reached into the cage, gently stroking the cat's fur. "I think I'll call her Cleo," she said softly. "Short for Cleopatra." Ron, meanwhile, was exploring the shop with wide-eyed curiosity. He paused at a tank filled with small, glowing creatures that buzzed around like tiny fireworks. The label read, "Fairy Lights," and they cast a shimmering glow over his freckled face. "This place is brilliant," Ron said, turning to Harry. "I don't know what I want yet, but there's so much to choose from." Harry nodded, his attention drawn to the owls perched on a high shelf. There were tawny owls, barn owls, and a majestic snowy owl, but his gaze settled on a sleek, black owl with striking silver eyes. The owl looked directly at Harry, and he felt a sense of kinship, much like he had with Hedwig. "Hello there," Harry murmured, reaching out a tentative hand. The owl hooted softly and hopped onto his arm with an elegant grace. "I think I'll call you Orion." "Orion?" Ron asked, coming over to admire the bird. "Nice name. It suits him." As Hermione finalized the purchase of Cleo, Ron continued to explore the shop. He eventually stopped in front of a large, ornate cage that housed a peculiar creature. It was a small, dog-like animal with bright, intelligent eyes and a tufted tail. The label read, "Krupp, requires ministry approval." "Look at this, Harry," Ron said, his voice filled with wonder. "A Krupp. They're loyal and fiercely protective. Maybe this is the familiar for me." Harry and Hermione joined him, peering into the cage. The Krupp wagged its tail and gave a cheerful bark, clearly excited by the attention. "I think he likes you, Ron," Hermione said with a smile. "Why don't you ask the shopkeeper about getting approval?" Ron nodded, determined. "I will. This little guy is perfect." After arranging for the necessary paperwork for the Krupp, the trio made their way to the counter. The shopkeeper, a kindly witch with a warm smile, rang up their purchases and gave them each a small bag of treats for their new familiars. "Take good care of them," she said, handing over the bags. "Familiars are loyal companions, and they'll be with you through thick and thin." As they left the magical menagerie, their new companions in tow, the trio felt a renewed sense of excitement and anticipation. Their journey to the American rainforest, awaited, but with Cleo, Orion, and the soon-to-be approved Krupp by their sides, they felt ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Standing in the bustling street, Harry, Ron, and Hermione shared a look of determination. With their familiars, their bond of friendship, and their unshakable resolve, they knew they could face any adventure that awaited them. "Ready to get the rest of our supplies?" Harry asked, looking between his friends. "Absolutely," Ron replied, scratching the Krupp behind the ears. "Let's go," Hermione agreed, her eyes shining with excitement. And with that, they made their way toward the brick archway leading to Diagon Alley. Hermione stepped forward, her wand at the ready, and with a flick, she began tapping the bricks in the familiar sequence. As the wall shifted and transformed, revealing the bustling alley beyond, the trio took a deep breath, ready to embrace the adventure that awaited them. With their familiars by their sides and determination in their hearts, Harry, Ron, and Hermione stepped through the archway, the whispers of their past adventures mingling with the promise of new discoveries and the unknown mysteries of the American rainforest. Chapter 5 The Quest for Knowledge. Diagon Alley bustled with activity as Harry, Ron, and Hermione made their way to Flourish and Blots, the famous bookstore that held the key to countless magical secrets. The trio's minds buzzed with anticipation as they stepped through the door, the familiar scent of parchment and ink enveloping them like an old friend. Inside, the shelves towered overhead, packed with books of every size, shape, and color imaginable. Harry's eyes scanned the titles, his heart quickening with excitement at the thought of uncovering hidden knowledge that could aid them in their upcoming journey. "We need to find information on magical creatures and artifacts that are likely to be found in an American rainforest," Hermione said, her voice tinged with determination as she consulted a list she had compiled. "I'll start with the creature section." Ron nodded in agreement, his eyes alight with curiosity as he followed Hermione to the magical creatures aisle. Harry lingered behind, his gaze drawn to a display of ancient tomes that promised untold wonders and mysteries. As Hermione delved into the shelves, pulling out book after book on magical creatures native to rainforests, Ron's attention was caught by a particularly dusty volume wedged between two larger tomes. He reached out and pulled it free, revealing a faded cover adorned with intricate runes and symbols. "Look at this, Harry," Ron exclaimed, his eyes wide with excitement as he flipped through the pages. "It's a guide to ancient magical artifacts found in rainforests. This could be exactly what we need." Harry joined him, peering over his shoulder at the illustrations and descriptions contained within the book. Each page held a wealth of information about ancient relics imbued with powerful magic, from enchanted amulets to legendary weapons. "This is incredible," Harry said, his mind racing with possibilities. "If we can locate even one of these artifacts, it could give us a significant advantage in our mission." Meanwhile, Hermione had selected several books on magical creatures, including one titled, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Rainforest Edition. She joined Harry and Ron, her arms laden with books. "I think we've found everything we need," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. "Now, we just need to find a quiet corner to study." They made their way to a cozy alcove tucked away in the back of the store, where Hermione spread out their books on a small table. Harry conjured a flickering candle to provide them with better light, and they settled in to pore over the information they had gathered. For hours, they lost themselves in the pages of magical lore, studying the habits and habitats of creatures they had never encountered before and learning the secrets of ancient artifacts that had been lost to time. As the afternoon sun began to sink lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the bookstore, Harry looked up from his reading, a sense of excitement building within him. "I think we're ready," he said, his voice filled with determination. "With this knowledge, and our familiars by our side, we can face whatever challenges await us in the American rainforest." Ron and Hermione nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting the same steely resolve. Together, armed with knowledge and friendship, they were prepared to embark on their next great adventure. Gathering their books and belongings, the trio made their way to the counter to purchase their selections. As they stepped out into the fading light of evening, a sense of anticipation filled the air. With the secrets of the magical world at their fingertips, Harry, Ron, and Hermione were ready to face the unknown. Their journey awaited, and with each step, they moved closer to uncovering the truth behind the mysteries of the American rainforest. With determination in their hearts and magic in their veins, they set off into the gathering dusk, their minds buzzing with the promise of discovery and adventure that lay ahead. Chapter 6: The Runic Portal. The sun hung low in the sky as Harry, Ron, and Hermione stepped out of the bustling streets of Diagon Alley and into the secluded alleyway where they would disembark towards the next destination. The air was thick with anticipation, a tangible energy that crackled in the air as they prepared to embark on their latest adventure. With a flick of his wand, Harry summoned his firebolt from where it had been safely stowed away, along with his invisibility cloak and holly wand. Ron produced his deluminator and Hermione her trusty beaded bag, each item glowing softly in the fading light. "We need to be quick," Hermione said, her voice urgent as she consulted the map of magical runic sites they had acquired. "The site in Washington state won't remain hidden for long." Harry nodded, his heart pounding with excitement as he mounted his broom and beckoned for his friends to join him. With a shared sense of purpose, they kicked off into the sky, soaring high above the rooftops of London and into the vast expanse of the night. The journey was swift but exhilarating, the wind whipping through their hair as they streaked across the starlit sky. Below them, the lights of the city dwindled to a distant glow, replaced by the tranquil darkness of the countryside. As they neared their destination, Harry spotted a faint shimmering in the air ahead, like a veil of mist hanging over the forest below. With a sense of determination, he angled his broom downwards, leading the way towards the hidden site. As they descended through the dense canopy of trees, the air grew thick with magic, pulsing with an ancient energy that seemed to permeate the very earth itself. Harry could feel the power of the runic site calling out to him, drawing him closer with each passing moment. At last, they touched down in a small clearing surrounded by towering trees, their branches stretching towards the sky like ancient sentinels guarding a sacred secret. In the center of the clearing stood a stone archway, adorned with intricate runes and symbols that glowed softly in the moonlight. "This is it," Hermione said, her voice barely above a whisper as she gazed upon the portal with awe. "The entrance to the magical runic site." Ron nodded, his eyes wide with wonder as he approached the archway, his deluminator glowing faintly in his hand. With a steady hand, he traced his fingers along the runes, feeling the power thrumming beneath his touch. Harry stepped forward, his heart pounding with excitement as he reached out to grasp the archway's cold stone surface. With a surge of magic, he activated the runes, and the air around them shimmered and shifted, forming a swirling vortex of energy that beckoned them forward. Without hesitation, Harry, Ron, and Hermione stepped through the portal, their bodies tingling with the sensation of magic coursing through their veins. As they emerged on the other side, they found themselves standing in a vast chamber, its walls adorned with ancient carvings and symbols that glowed softly in the dim light. "This is incredible," Ron breathed, his eyes wide with wonder as he took in the sight before him. "I've never seen anything like it." Hermione nodded in agreement, her expression filled with awe as she surveyed their surroundings. "It's like stepping back in time," she said, her voice hushed with reverence. But there was no time to linger, for they had come here with a purpose, to uncover the secrets hidden within the ancient runes that adorned the chamber walls. With determination in their hearts and magic in their veins, Harry, Ron, and Hermione set out to unravel the mysteries of the magical runic site, knowing that their quest would lead them to discoveries beyond their wildest dreams. And as they delved deeper into the heart of the chamber, surrounded by the echoes of the past and the promise of the future, they knew that their journey was only just beginning. For in the depths of the rainforest, amidst the ancient magic that pulsed through the earth, they would find the answers they sought, and so much more. With each step, they moved closer to unlocking the truth behind the mysteries of the American rainforest, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that they were bound together by friendship, courage, and the unbreakable bonds of magic. And as they ventured forth into the unknown, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, as they always had, and always would. Chapter 7: The Confrontation. The air crackled with tension as Harry, Ron, and Hermione emerged from the depths of the magical runic site, their senses on high alert as they surveyed their surroundings. The chamber was bathed in a soft, ethereal light, casting long shadows across the ancient carvings that adorned the walls. But their moment of awe was short-lived, for as they turned to leave, they found themselves face to face with three figures emerging from the shadows: Aaron Sawyer, Serafina, and Dylan E.T. Aaron Sawyer, the paragon of war, stood at the forefront, his synchronic wands at the ready, their 3DGR hilts glinting in the dim light. His gaze was steely, his jaw set in determination as he surveyed the intruders who had dared to trespass in his territory. Beside him stood Serafina, her eyes ablaze with intelligence and power, her hands poised as if ready to weave spells at a moment's notice. Despite the absence of visible weapons, there was an aura of danger about her, a sense that she held secrets beyond imagining. And then there was Dylan E.T., clad in a suit of magical armor that seemed to shimmer and shift with every movement. Blade Forge, adorned with the 3DGR hilts, hung at his side, their blades glinting with deadly intent. For a moment, no one spoke, the silence thick with unspoken tension as the two groups regarded each other warily. Then, Aaron Sawyer stepped forward, his voice cutting through the stillness like a blade. "What business do you have here?" he demanded, his eyes narrowing as he fixed his gaze on Harry. Harry squared his shoulders, meeting Aaron Sawyer's gaze with a steady stare of his own. "We seek knowledge," he replied evenly. "Knowledge that may hold the key to defeating a great evil." Aaron Sawyer's expression softened slightly at Harry's words, a flicker of understanding passing across his features. But before he could respond, Serafina stepped forward, her voice calm yet tinged with warning. "The secrets of this place are not easily obtained," she said, her eyes flicking from Harry to his companions. "And they come with a price." Hermione frowned, her brow furrowing in confusion. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice tinged with curiosity. But before Serafina could reply, Dylan E.T. spoke, his voice echoing through the chamber with a sense of authority that brooked no argument. "The magic of this place is ancient and powerful," he said, his eyes burning with intensity. "It is not to be trifled with lightly." As the tension in the chamber mounted, Harry braced himself for what was to come, knowing that the true test of their mettle was yet to come. For in the heart of magic, amidst the echoes of the past and the promise of the future, anything was possible, and nothing was certain. With a sense of foreboding hanging heavy in the air, Harry, Ron, and Hermione prepared themselves for the challenges that lay ahead, knowing that their journey was far from over, and that the fate of the wizarding world hung in the balance. Chapter 8. The Battle Unleashed. As the trio from Hogwarts braced themselves for battle, the ancient stone guardians of the magical runic site stirred from their slumber, their massive forms looming ominously in the rainforest shadows. 8 feet tall and weighing a ton each, the humanoid dinosaur statues radiated an aura of ancient power, their eyes gleaming with a primal hunger for destruction. Aaron Sawyer, the paragon of war, stepped forward, his synchronic wands crackling with untold potential. "You have awakened the Guardians," he said, his voice echoing with authority. "Now, you must face the consequences." With a roar that shook the very earth beneath their feet, the stone guardians charged forward, their massive limbs pounding the forest floor with thunderous force. Dylan E.T., wielding his blade forged with deadly precision, dashed to the forefront of the battle, his armor gleaming in the dappled sunlight as he met the Guardians head-on. Meanwhile, Serafina, her hands deftly weaving through the air, unleashed a volley of frost potions that exploded upon impact, encasing the stone guardians in a shimmering layer of ice. The Hogwarts trio, confuddled but determined, cast spells with practiced precision, their wands alight with the sparks of magic as they fought to hold back the advancing tide. Harry summoned bolts of lightning to strike at the Guardians' stony forms, while Ron conjured barriers of icy wards off their relentless assault. Hermione, her mind racing with spells and incantations, unleashed devastating charms, her determination unwavering in the face of adversity. As the battle raged on, Aaron Sawyer vanished into the canopy above, his keen eyes surveying the chaos below as he sought out a strategic advantage. With each flick of his wands, he unleashed a barrage of unknown spells, their effects shrouded in mystery as he worked to turn the tide of battle in their favor. But despite their combined efforts, the Stone Guardians proved to be formidable adversaries, their ancient magic and unyielding strength testing the limits of the trio's resolve. As the forest echoed with the clash of steel and the roar of spells, Harry, Ron, and Hermione knew that they must dig deep within themselves if they were to emerge victorious. With a defiant cry, they pressed forward, their hearts aflame with the spirit of bravery and determination that had carried them through countless trials before. And as they fought side by side, their bonds of friendship and camaraderie strengthened, their unity becoming their greatest weapon against the forces of darkness that threatened to engulf them. But as the battle reached its climax, with the fate of the magical runic site hanging in the balance, the true test of their courage had only just begun. With the Stone Guardians closing in and Aaron Sawyer poised to unleash his most powerful spells, the trio knew that they must steel themselves for the final showdown, a throwdown that would determine the fate of not only their own lives, but the future of the wizarding world itself. The rainforest echoed with the thunderous roar of battle as we faced off against the ancient stone guardians of the magical runic site. My heart pounded in my chest as I gripped my wand tightly, ready to stand beside my friends against this formidable foe. Aaron Sawyer, the paragon of war, stood at the forefront of the conflict, his synchronic wands crackling with untold power. With a command that seemed to shake the very earth beneath us, he unleashed a spell of mass paralysis, freezing the advancing stone guardians in their tracks. As the Guardians faltered, Dylan E.T. rallied us to action, his blade forge gleaming in the dim light. Quickly, we must make our escape while the Guardians are incapacitated. He urged, his voice urgent yet determined. Serafina, her presence calming amidst the chaos, suggested we reinforce the paralysis with our own immobilization spells. With a shared nod of agreement, we focused our magic, weaving our spells together to ensure the Guardians remained frozen in place. With each incantation, tendrils of magical energy wrapped around the stone Guardians, reinforcing Aaron Sawyer's spell and securing our path to safety. As the forest echoed with the sounds of battle and the crackle of magic, we made our escape from the magical runic site. With every step, we left behind the echoes of our battle, our hearts filled with relief and determination to face whatever lay ahead. For in the face of adversity, our bonds of friendship and courage would always light the way forward, guiding us towards a brighter future filled with hope and possibility. Chapter 9: Unraveling Mysteries. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded into the stillness of the rainforest, Hermione's curiosity burned brighter than ever. She couldn't shake the fascination she felt towards the synchronic wands wielded by Aaron Sawyer, the paragon of war. Approaching Aaron with a mix of determination and reverence, Hermione spoke up, her voice laced with curiosity. "Aaron, those synchronic wands of yours are truly remarkable. I've never seen magic quite like it. Could you tell us more about them?" Aaron regarded Hermione with a knowing smile, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of ages. "The synchronic wands are a product of ancient magic," he began, his voice carrying the weight of history. "Forged in the fires of creation, they harness the power of synchronicity to channel magic in its purest form." Hermione's eyes sparkled with excitement as she listened intently, her mind racing with questions. "And how do they work?" she asked eagerly. Aaron gestured towards the intricate carvings on the wands' hilts, each symbol pulsating with arcane energy. "The runes inscribed upon the wands are attuned to the rhythms of the universe," he explained. "By aligning our magic with these rhythms, we can unlock their true potential." Hermione nodded, her mind buzzing with newfound knowledge. "Fascinating," she murmured, her thoughts already racing ahead to the possibilities that lay before them. But before she could delve deeper into the mysteries of the synchronic wands, Kingsley Shackleble's voice echoed in her mind, a reminder of their mission and the task that lay ahead. With a determined nod, Hermione turned to her companions, her gaze alight with determination. "We have much to learn and explore," she said, her voice filled with purpose. "But first, let us gather our strength and prepare for the journey ahead." As the group set about making preparations for their next adventure, Hermione's mind buzzed with anticipation. The quest to uncover the truth behind the disturbance in the magical portals had only just begun, and she was eager to unravel its mysteries, one enchantment at a time. With Aaron Sawyer, Dylan E.T., and Serafina by their side, Harry, Ron, and Hermione knew that they were not alone in their quest. Together, they would journey into the heart of magic itself, seeking answers and uncovering secrets that had long been hidden from the world. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the rainforest, the group gathered around a flickering campfire, their faces illuminated by its warm glow. And as they shared stories and laughter, their bonds of friendship and alliance grew stronger, forging a connection that would carry them through the trials and tribulations that lay ahead. For in the world of magic, where the line between reality and legend blurred, anything was possible. And as they embarked on their quest, Harry, Ron, Hermione, Aaron Sawyer, Dylan E.T., and Serafina knew that they were destined for greatness. Chapter 10, Lessons in Practice. Dylan E.T. stepped forward, his presence commanding the attention of everyone gathered around the campfire. With a solemn expression, he began to explain the intricacies of using the synchronic wands for combat and timing. The synchronic wands are not merely tools for casting spells, Dylan began, his voice carrying the weight of authority. They are instruments of precision, designed to enhance our martial prowess through the art of timing. He gestured towards the 3DGR sides of the blade forge, each representing a specific binding point within timing and play. Each combinatorial corresponds to a particular movement and spell, he explained. By mastering the timing of these actions, we can achieve a level of combat proficiency that transcends ordinary magic. Dylan demonstrated, his movements fluid and precise as he activated a combinatorial sequence on his blade forge. With each click of his thumbs, the blade forge responded with a burst of magical energy, the air crackling with the power of their synchronized action of the blade forge and Dylan E.T.'s footwork. As we engage in combat, we must listen to the rhythm of the battle, Dylan continued, his voice steady. Each click of the wands represents a beat in the dance of combat, guiding our actions with unparalleled precision. He paused, allowing his words to sink in before continuing. But timing alone is not enough, he cautioned. We must also be mindful of our state of wand play, adapting our movements to suit the flow of battle. Dylan explained how the combinatorial could be combined in different sequences to execute a variety of techniques, from offensive strikes to defensive maneuvers. With each demonstration, his blade forge magic came to life, painting a vivid picture of the synchronic wand's capabilities in combat. As we hone our skills with the 3DGR, we unlock new possibilities in the art of timing and state of wand play, Dylan concluded, his eyes alight with determination. Together, we will master the rhythm of battle and emerge victorious against whatever challenges may come our way. As the group absorbed Dylan's teachings, a sense of purpose filled the air, their hearts aflame with the desire to rise to the challenge before them. With the knowledge of the synchronic wands at their disposal, they knew that they were ready to face whatever trials lay ahead, united in their quest for truth and justice in the world of magic. The two trios, comprised of Harry Potter, Ronald Weasley, Hermione Granger, Aaron Sawyer, Dylan E.T., and Serafina, sat around the campfire, their faces drawn in contemplation as they discussed the potential villains that could be arriving through the portals. Harry furrowed his brow, his mind racing with possibilities. It's possible that whoever or whatever is behind these disturbances is seeking to exploit the power of the magical runic sites for their own nefarious purposes, he mused, his voice grave. Ron nodded in agreement, his expression grim. But who could be behind it? And why? He wondered aloud, his gaze fixed on the flickering flames. Hermione, ever the voice of reason, spoke up. There are countless dark forces in the wizarding world that would stop at nothing to gain power and control, she pointed out, her tone somber. We must be prepared for anything. Aaron Sawyer, his eyes scanning the shadows beyond the campfire's glow, spoke next. It's possible that whoever is behind this has knowledge of the ancient magic that binds the runic sites together, he suggested, his voice tinged with concern. And if they are able to harness that power, they could pose a serious threat to our world. Dylan E.T. nodded in agreement, his expression grave. We must remain vigilant, he warned, his eyes flashing with determination. For the forces we may soon face could be unlike anything we've encountered before. Serafina, her hands tracing intricate patterns in the air as she spoke, added her own insight. We must also consider the possibility that the disturbance in the portals is not merely a coincidence, she said, her voice tinged with uncertainty. There may be someone, or something, guiding these events from behind the scenes. As the group contemplated the potential villains that could be lurking on the other side of the portals, a sense of unease settled over them. But with their determination and unity as their greatest weapons, they knew that they would face whatever challenges came their way, ready to defend the wizarding world against the forces of darkness that threatened to tear it apart. As the fire crackled and danced before them, Serafina's eyes gleamed with an otherworldly light, her voice taking on a mesmerizing tone as she began to speak. "Ah, yes, dear companions," she began, her words weaving a tapestry of ancient knowledge. "Throughout the annals of human history, there have been those who dared to harness the power of runes to wield magic beyond imagination." Her voice resonated with a mystical energy as she recounted tales of legendary figures who had walked the earth, their names whispered in reverence by those who sought to unlock the secrets of the universe. "Behold the seers of old," she exclaimed, her arms sweeping wide as if to encompass the vast expanse of time itself. From the Oracle of Delphi, who communed with the gods through the sacred runes etched upon her temple walls, to the Norse shamans who carved their spells into the very fabric of reality, their ancient wisdom echoes through the ages. With each word, Serafina's presence seemed to grow more ethereal, her form shimmering with the faintest hint of magic as she delved deeper into the mysteries of the past. "And let us not forget the wise women of the Celtic Druidic traditions," she continued, her voice tinged with reverence. "They who inscribed their spells upon stones and trees, channeling the very essence of nature itself to work their wonders." As she spoke, images of these ancient practitioners flickered in the firelight, their faces illuminated by the glow of Serafina's words as she painted a vivid picture of their mastery over the arcane. "But perhaps most legendary of all," she intoned, her voice soft yet commanding, "are the rune masters of ancient Scandinavia, who carved their magic into the very fabric of existence, shaping the world itself with their words and symbols." With a flourish, Serafina concluded her recitation, her eyes alight with the fire of ancient knowledge. "These, my friends, are but a few of the luminaries who have wielded the power of runes to bend reality to their will," she declared, her voice ringing with authority. "And their legacy lives on in the magic that courses through our veins, waiting to be awakened by those who dare to seek its secrets." Chapter 11: The Oracle's Revelation. With a collective sense of determination, the group of wizards and witches stood at the edge of the magical runic site, their wands held aloft as they prepared to teleport to their next destination, the ancient ruins of Delphi in Greece. As the familiar sensation of magical transportation washed over them, they felt the world shift and blur around them, until finally, they emerged amidst the crumbling columns and weathered statues that marked the sacred grounds of the oracle. The air hummed with a palpable energy, as if the very stones themselves were infused with the wisdom of centuries past. Hermione's eyes sparkled with excitement as she surveyed their surroundings, her mind already racing with the possibilities that lay ahead. Aaron Sawyer, his gaze focused and intense, led the way through the maze of ancient ruins, his synchronic wands crackling with untold power as he sought out the guidance of the oracle. Dylan E.T., his blade forge at the ready, scanned the horizon for any signs of danger, his senses keenly attuned to the slightest hint of malevolent magic. And Serafina, her presence calming amidst the chaos, closed her eyes and reached out with her senses, seeking the subtle whispers of the universe that might reveal the secrets they sought. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the ruins, the air grew thick with anticipation, until finally, they reached the sacred chamber of the oracle, a place where the veil between worlds was said to be thinnest, and the wisdom of the ages flowed like a river. With bated breath, they approached the ancient stone altar that stood at the center of the chamber, its surface inscribed with runes and symbols of power. Hermione's fingers traced the intricate carvings, her mind buzzing with excitement as she sought to unlock the secrets they held. Aaron Sawyer, his voice steady yet tinged with reverence, spoke the words of invocation that would call forth the oracle from the depths of the beyond. And then, with a rush of wind and the shimmering of light, the oracle appeared, a figure cloaked in mystery and shadow, her eyes alight with the wisdom of the ages. "Speak, O oracle," Aaron Sawyer intoned, his voice echoing through the chamber. "We seek your guidance in these troubled times, for we face an unknown threat. Zero." The oracle regarded them with a gaze that seemed to pierce through the very depths of their souls, her voice echoing with the weight of centuries as she spoke. "The threads of fate weave a tangled web, my children," she intoned, her words carrying the weight of prophecy. "Beware the darkness that seeks to engulf you, for it is a force born of chaos and despair." As she spoke, images flickered in the air before them, visions of a shadowy figure cloaked in darkness, its eyes gleaming with malevolence as it sought to sow discord and destruction in its wake. "The adversary you seek is cunning and powerful," the oracle continued, her voice somber yet resolute. "But fear not, for the light of truth shall guide your path, and the bonds of friendship shall be your greatest strength." With a final word of warning, the oracle vanished into the ether, leaving the group to ponder the weight of her words as they prepared to face the challenges that lay ahead. And as they emerged from the sacred chamber, their resolve stronger than ever, they knew that their quest was far from over. For in the heart of darkness, amidst the echoes of prophecy and the whispers of fate, the true test of their courage had only just begun. Chapter 12, The Celtic Circle. The group of 6 wizards and witches stood on the rugged cliffs of Ireland, the wind whipping through their hair as they surveyed the ancient landscape spread out before them. In the distance, the rolling hills were dotted with the remnants of Celtic ruins, their stones weathered by centuries of time yet still pulsing with the magic of old. Aaron Sawyer, his synchronic wands crackling with energy, led the way, his keen eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of the elusive Celtic druid circle. Serafina followed close behind, her cloak billowing in the wind as she prepared her potions and enchanted tricks for whatever challenges lay ahead. Dylan E.T., clad in his enchanted armor and wielding the blade forged with deadly precision, scanned the landscape for any signs of danger, his senses sharp and attuned to the slightest hint of malevolent magic. And Harry, Ron, and Hermione, their wands at the ready, stood shoulder to shoulder, their determination unwavering as they prepared to confront whatever awaited them in the depths of the Celtic wilderness. As they ventured deeper into the heart of the ancient landscape, the air grew thick with the hum of magic, until finally, they stumbled upon the entrance to the Celtic Druid Circle, a ring of weathered stones, their surfaces carved with intricate runes and symbols of power. With a shared nod of determination, they stepped into the circle, their footsteps echoing against the ancient stones as they prepared to unlock the secrets that lay within. But as they delved deeper into the heart of the circle, they soon realized that they were not alone. Dark figures lurked in the shadows, their eyes gleaming with malice as they prepared to unleash their own brand of chaos upon the world. With a shout of warning, Dylan E.T. sprang into action, his blade forge flashing in the dim light as he engaged the enemy with deadly precision. Aaron Sawyer, his synchronic wands blazing with power, unleashed a barrage of spells to hold back the advancing tide, while Serafina, her position at the ready, wove her magic to weaken their foes from within. Harry, Ron, and Hermione, their wands alight with the sparks of magic, fought side by side, their spells and incantations echoing through the air as they sought to protect their friends and vanquish the forces of darkness that threatened to engulf them. As the battle raged on, the air crackled with the clash of steel and the roar of spells, until finally, with a final burst of magical energy, the dark figures were vanquished, their malevolent presence banished from the Celtic Circle once and for all. With the threat neutralized, the group paused to catch their breath, their hearts pounding with the adrenaline of battle yet their spirits soaring with the knowledge that they had triumphed against all odds. But as they turned to leave, their minds already racing with thoughts of the next challenge that lay ahead, they knew that their quest was far from over. For in the heart of the Celtic wilderness, amidst the echoes of ancient magic and the whispers of the past, the true test of their courage had only just begun. As the Celtic Circle continued to open, the air crackled with a palpable sense of danger, the portal humming with an otherworldly energy that sent shivers down their spines. The 6 individuals, standing in the center of the circle, exchanged wary glances as they braced themselves for whatever might emerge from the depths of the portal. Suddenly, with a roar that echoed through the ancient stones, a demon stepped out of the portal, its form grotesquely aesthetic, radiating a powerful malevolent aura that filled the air with dread. The demon's name was lost to the ages, but its presence was unmistakable, a harbinger of chaos and destruction. With a flick of its staff, the demon unleashed a barrage of flames, fireballs hurtling towards the squad with deadly accuracy. Harry, Ron, Hermione, Aaron Sawyer, Dylan E.T., and Serafina scattered, countering the flames with each their own weapons. The flames wreathed around the squad, though with lightning-fast reflexes they sought cover amidst the crumbling ruins of the Celtic Circle. But just as it seemed that all hope was lost, a burst of golden flame erupted from the sky, heralding the arrival of Fawkes, the Phoenix. With a majestic cry, Fawkes swooped down from above, his feathers glowing with the radiant light of his healing tears. As the fire enveloped the squad, Fawkes intercepted them with a graceful sweep of his wings, his tears quenching the flames with ease before they could reach their intended targets. With each fiery blast, Fawkes's strength seemed to grow, his majestic form ablaze with the power of ancient magic as he shielded the squad from harm. Meanwhile, on the other side of the portal, the squad glimpsed a horde of minor demons clamoring to break through, their twisted forms clawing at the edges of the rift as they sought to join their malevolent master in wreaking havoc upon the world. With no time to waste, Harry and his companions knew that they had to escape. With a shared nod of understanding, they regrouped, their resolve unwavering as they prepared to make their retreat. As the demon's onslaught continued unabated, Harry summoned all his strength, focusing his magic with unwavering determination as he prepared to lead his friends to safety. With a final glance at Fawkes, whose golden wings blazed with the light of hope, Harry took a deep breath and, with a flick of his wand, apparated away from the chaos, his friends following close behind. As they vanished into the safety of the unknown, the portal continued to pulse with malevolent energy, its depths shrouded in mystery and danger. But for now, Harry and his companions were safe, their courage and resilience shining bright amidst the darkness that threatened to engulf them. Chapter 13 Return to the Ministry. The grand halls of the Ministry of Magic buzzed with activity as Harry Potter and his companions made their way through the bustling corridors, their hearts heavy with the weight of their recent trials. Kingsley Shacklebolt, the Minister of Magic, awaited them in his office, his expression grave as he listened to their tale. "Minister Shacklebolt," Harry began, his voice steady despite the lingering echoes of their encounter with the malevolent demon. "We have returned from our mission to investigate the disturbances in the magical runic sites." Kingsley's gaze was intent as he leaned forward in his chair, his eyes flicking from Harry to each member of the squad in turn. "What did you discover?" he asked, his tone betraying none of the curiosity that burned within him. Ron Weasley cleared his throat, stepping forward to recount their harrowing journey. "We encountered powerful magic, Minister," he said, his voice tinged with awe and respect. "The runic sites were connected by portals, and we found evidence of dark forces at work." Hermione Granger nodded in agreement, her expression somber as she added, "There were signs of ancient rituals and powerful enchantments being woven together to create the portals. It was clear that someone, or something, was behind it all." Kingsley's brow furrowed in concern as he absorbed their words, his mind racing with the implications of their findings. "And the demon you encountered?" he asked, his voice low and measured. Dylan E.T. stepped forward, his enchanted armor gleaming in the soft light of the office. "It was a formidable foe, Minister," he said, his voice resonating with the authority of one who had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. "But with Fox's help, we were able to hold it off long enough to make our escape." Aaron Sawyer, his synchronic wands at the ready, nodded in agreement. "Indeed," he said, his eyes burning with the fire of determination. "But the threat remains. We must act swiftly if we are to prevent further incursions into our world." Kingsley's gaze softened as he regarded the members of the squad before him, his admiration for their bravery and resilience evident in his expression. "Thank you, all of you, for your courage and dedication," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "We will do everything in our power to stop this threat and protect our world from the forces of darkness." As the squad exchanged a silent nod of determination, they knew that their journey was far from over. But with their bonds of friendship and their unwavering resolve, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their quest to safeguard the wizarding world from the shadows that threatened to engulf it. Chapter 14: The Gathering Storm. Kingsley Shacklebolt's office was a sanctuary of order amidst the chaos that swirled outside its walls. As the Minister of Magic sat behind his desk, his gaze moved thoughtfully over the assembled members of the squad before him: Hermione Granger, Dylan E.T., Ron Weasley, Harry Potter, Serafina, and Aaron Sawyer. "I commend you all for your bravery and dedication," Kingsley began, his voice resonating with authority. "But the threat we face is grave, and we must be prepared to meet it head-on." With a wave of his wand, Kingsley summoned a scroll from a nearby shelf, unfurling it to reveal a list of names, potential allies in the war against the darkness that loomed on the horizon. "These individuals have proven themselves in the crucible of battle," Kingsley said, his voice steady as he gestured to the names before him. "They are skilled warriors, each possessing unique talents that could prove invaluable to our cause." As the squad studied the list, their minds racing with the possibilities that lay ahead, Kingsley turned his attention to another matter at hand: the creation of synchronic wands to aid them in their quest. "I have authorized access to the Ministry's armory," Kingsley announced, his eyes alight with determination. "There, you will find the materials and expertise needed to craft synchronic wands for each member of the squad." Hermione's eyes sparkled with excitement at the prospect of delving into the mysteries of wandcraft, while Ron grinned eagerly at the thought of wielding a weapon infused with ancient magic. Harry's jaw set in determination as he prepared himself for the challenges that lay ahead, his thoughts already turning to the battles to come. With Kingsley's guidance, the squad made their way to the Ministry's armory, where they were greeted by a team of skilled craftsmen ready to assist them in their task. Together, they pored over ancient tomes and intricate diagrams, their minds buzzing with the possibilities that lay before them. Hours turned into days as the squad worked tirelessly to craft their synchronic wands, infusing each one with the essence of their own unique magic. Serafina's potions lent their strength to the enchantments, while Sawyer's mastery of combat magic imbued the wands with a sense of power and purpose. At last, the wands were complete, their gleaming surfaces pulsing with a vibrant energy that seemed to hum with potential. As the squad gathered around the table, their newly forged wands held aloft, they felt a sense of unity and purpose that transcended words. "We stand together against the darkness," Kingsley declared, his voice ringing out with conviction. "And with these wands as our weapons, we shall not falter in our quest to safeguard the wizarding world." With a renewed sense of determination burning in their hearts, the squad prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that together, they would emerge victorious in the war against the forces of darkness. Chapter 15, The Seventh Member. As we stood in the cavernous atrium of the Ministry of Magic, the magnitude of our mission pressed heavily upon my shoulders. Our newly crafted synchronic wands thrummed with latent power at our sides, their magic eager for the challenges ahead. Each member of our squad, Hermione, Ron, Dylan E.T., Serafina, Sawyer, and myself, wore expressions of grim determination. Yet, there was an unspoken bond between us, a silent understanding that together, we could face whatever dark forces awaited. Kingsley Shacklebolt strode purposefully toward us, his long, dark robes billowing behind him. His presence alone commanded respect and inspired confidence, and as he drew nearer, I could see the weight of his responsibilities etched into his features. He stopped before us, his keen eyes scanning our faces. "Before you depart," Kingsley began, his deep voice resonating through the atrium, "there are crucial matters you must be aware of. My Aurors have successfully cleared the English portal connecting to the Washington rainforest, which is why there were no guardians when you arrived." A ripple of surprise passed through our group. Hermione, ever the scholar, looked particularly intrigued. "So, the guardians were already dealt with," she murmured, piecing the puzzle together. Kingsley nodded. "Indeed. We've also dispatched Aurors to the Celtic Circle in Ireland. While our efforts to close both the English and Irish portals have been unsuccessful, we've ensured that the Guardians no longer pose a threat." Ron frowned, his brow furrowing in thought. "If the portals can't be closed, what's our next move?" "We believe another portal is opening in Scandinavia," Kingsley replied, his gaze sharp and unwavering. "Your task is to investigate this new portal, determine its connections, and understand the dark forces manipulating these ancient magics." A heavy silence settled over us as we absorbed Kingsley's words. The enormity of our mission loomed even larger now. But before we could voice our questions, Kingsley raised a hand, his expression softening slightly. "There is one more thing," he said. "To aid you in this perilous journey, I am introducing a seventh member to your squad. He arrives well prepared, equipped with synchronic wands crafted by Dylan E.T." My heart skipped a beat. A seventh member. Who could possibly be joining us at this critical juncture? Kingsley stepped aside, revealing a figure emerging from the shadows of the atrium. Neville Longbottom, Kingsley announced with a proud smile. Neville strode forward, his stride confident and his demeanor composed. The Neville I remembered from our school days had grown into a formidable wizard. His synchronic wands gleamed at his sides, a testament to his strength and skill. "Neville," I exclaimed, a wave of relief washing over me. "It's good to see you." Neville grinned, his eyes meeting mine with a mixture of camaraderie and determination. "Good to see you too, Harry. Seems like we always end up fighting dark forces together, doesn't it?" Hermione and Ron rushed forward, embracing our old friend. Dylan E.T. and Aaron Sawyer nodded in approval, while Serafina extended a graceful hand in greeting. The squad was complete, and with Neville's addition, our resolve felt unbreakable. Kingsley allowed us a moment to reconnect before clearing his throat. "Neville has been briefed on the situation and is ready to join your ranks. Together, you will investigate the Scandinavian portal and continue your mission to safeguard our world from these ancient threats." With a final nod, Kingsley left us to our preparations. As we gathered our gear and checked our wands, the gravity of our task settled in. But now, with Neville by our side, our chances of success seemed brighter. "We should get moving," I said, shouldering my pack. "The sooner we reach Scandinavia, the better." Neville's eyes shone with the same determination that fueled us all. "Ready when you are, Harry." We made our way out of the ministry, our footsteps echoing with purpose. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger, but united in our cause and fortified by our synchronic wands, we were prepared to face the darkness together. Chapter 16, Midsummer Solstice. The Scandinavian sky was painted with hues of twilight as we approached the clearing where the midsummer solstice celebration was in full swing. The air was filled with the sounds of laughter, music, and the crackling of bonfires. Wizards and witches from all corners of the magical world had gathered here, their robes flowing in the gentle summer breeze, their faces illuminated by the golden glow of the setting sun. Our arrival had gone unnoticed amidst the revelry, and for a moment, I was struck by the beauty and serenity of the scene. The vibrant colors of the festivities, the aroma of magical delicacies, and the enchanting melodies created an atmosphere of pure joy and camaraderie. Yet, beneath this veneer of celebration, I sensed a palpable tension, an undercurrent of anticipation for what lay ahead. As we made our way through the crowd, my eyes caught sight of various magical creatures mingling with the guests. House elves darted between tables, serving trays of food and drink. Centaurs stood at the edges of the clearing, their wise eyes observing the proceedings with a quiet dignity. Even a few merpeople had made their way to the shore of a nearby lake, their haunting songs adding to the magical ambiance. "Harry, look," Hermione whispered, pointing to a group of wizards who were performing a dazzling display of fireworks. The sparks danced in the sky, forming intricate patterns and shapes before dissolving into stardust. Ron, his eyes wide with wonder, muttered, "This is incredible. I've never seen anything like it." Dylan E.T., with his blade forge strapped to his back, scanned the crowd with a keen eye. "Stay alert," he murmured, his voice low. "We're not here just to celebrate." Neville nodded, his synchronic wands glinting in the firelight. "Right. Let's find Kingsley's contact." As we wove through the throng, the crowd parted, and I found myself face to face with Viktor Krum. The former Durmstrang champion stood tall and imposing, his dark eyes glinting with recognition. "Potter," he greeted, his voice gruff but friendly. "I did not expect to see you here." "Viktor," I replied, extending a hand. "It's good to see you." He shook my hand firmly, then glanced at the rest of our squad. You are here for the portal, yes? Yes, Hermione answered, stepping forward. We've been sent to investigate the disturbances. Viktor nodded, his expression serious. I have heard rumors. Dark magic, ancient spells. You must be careful. That's why we're here, Ron said, his jaw set with determination. Viktor's gaze lingered on Neville. Longbottom, I see you have become quite the wizard. Synchronic wands, impressive. Neville flushed with pride. Thanks, Viktor. We're ready for whatever comes our way. As we spoke, a hush fell over the crowd. All eyes turned toward the central bonfire, where an ancient wizard, his long white beard flowing like a river of snow, raised his arms to the sky. The flames leapt higher, casting eerie shadows across the clearing. Welcome, friends, the wizard intoned, his voice carrying through the air like a magical chant. Tonight, we celebrate the midsummer solstice, a time of magic and renewal. But we must also be vigilant, for dark forces seek to disrupt our harmony. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. The atmosphere, once filled with light-hearted joy, now felt charged with a sense of impending challenge. We will remain vigilant, Viktor assured us, his eyes locking with mine. But tonight, let us also find strength in our unity. As the celebration continued, we stayed close, our senses heightened. Music and laughter surrounded us, but our minds were focused on the task ahead. I caught glimpses of familiar faces, witches and wizards who had fought bravely in the war against Voldemort. Their presence here, mingling with magical creatures and ancient beings, filled me with a renewed sense of purpose. Harry, Hermione whispered, her eyes shining with a mix of excitement and concern. Do you think we're ready? I met her gaze, feeling the weight of her question. We have to be, Hermione. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. As the night wore on, the celebrations reached their zenith. A colossal dragon, its scales shimmering with every color of the rainbow, soared overhead, breathing streams of fire that painted the sky. The crowd erupted in cheers, their spirits lifted by the spectacle. In that moment, amidst the magic and wonder of the midsummer solstice, I felt a surge of hope. We were not alone in this fight. With Viktor by our side and the bonds of friendship and magic uniting us, we were ready to face the challenges ahead. The portal awaited, its secrets hidden in the shadows. But as I looked around at my friends, at the wizards and witches who had gathered here to celebrate and protect our world, I knew we had the strength to prevail. To Durmstrang, I murmured, feeling the weight of destiny settle on my shoulders. Let's see what the night has in store for us. Chapter 17, Shadows of Durmstrang. The cool Scandinavian night air whipped around us as we flew, our broomsticks cutting through the darkening sky. Below, the dense forest stretched out like a patchwork quilt, its shadows deepening as the last rays of sunlight vanished behind the distant mountains. Viktor Krum, now headmaster of Durmstrang, led the way with a determined expression, his silhouette outlined against the twilight. Stay close, Viktor called over his shoulder, his voice barely audible above the wind. We must reach the outskirts of the school before nightfall. We followed in tight formation, the hum of our brooms harmonizing with the rustling of leaves far below. The tension from the midsummer solstice celebration had not left us, it had merely shifted focus. Now, our mission was clear, and the eerie reputation of Durmstrang loomed ahead like a specter. After a journey that felt both swift and interminable, Viktor signaled for us to descend. We touched down on a rocky outcrop, the forest still thick around us, but the towering spires of Durmstrang visible in the distance, silhouetted against the starry sky. "We walk from here," Viktor announced, dismounting his broom. "The school grounds are protected by ancient wards that prevent any magical approach." We stowed our brooms and gathered our bearings. The path leading to Durmstrang was narrow and winding, flanked by twisted trees whose branches seemed to reach out like skeletal fingers. The air was heavy with the scent of pine and earth, and an uncanny silence pressed down upon us. "Let's go," I said, my voice sounding unnaturally loud in the stillness. We set off, Viktor leading the way with a sure stride, his wand tucked into his belt. The deeper we ventured into the forest, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. Strange noises, snaps of twigs, rustling leaves, echoed around us, and more than once, I felt eyes watching from the shadows. Hermione and Ron walked close behind me, their expressions mirroring the unease I felt. "Dylan," I whispered, glancing back at him. His blade forge seemed to pulse with a faint light, as if sensing the dark magic that permeated the area. He nodded, understanding my unspoken question. We were all on high alert. As we neared the edge of the forest, the trees began to thin, revealing the formidable walls of Durmstrang Institute. The castle loomed before us, its dark stone walls rising starkly against the night sky. Towers jutted into the air, their windows glowing with a dim, eerie light. Unlike Hogwarts, with its warm, welcoming presence, Durmstrang exuded an aura of menace and power. "Welcome to Durmstrang," Viktor said quietly, his tone a mixture of pride and caution. "This is where we must find answers." We stepped out of the forest and onto the gravel path that led to the massive iron gates of the school. The gates creaked open as we approached, revealing a courtyard dominated by a dark, foreboding statue of a dragon, its eyes seeming to follow our every move. "Stay together," Viktor instructed, leading us through the courtyard. "The castle can be disorienting." As we crossed the threshold into the main hall, a shiver ran down my spine. The interior of Durmstrang was a stark contrast to the exterior. Dark wood paneling lined the walls, and dim torches cast flickering shadows that danced and shifted with a life of their own. The hall was lined with portraits of stern-looking wizards and witches, their eyes glittering with suspicion and curiosity. "Durmstrang has always prided itself on strength and discipline," Viktor explained as we walked. "But there are secrets here, ancient magics that even I am still uncovering." We moved deeper into the castle, passing through a labyrinth of corridors and staircases that seemed to twist and turn without reason. The oppressive atmosphere pressed down on us, making each step feel heavier than the last. In one corridor, we passed a group of students, their faces pale and serious. They watched us with a mixture of curiosity and wariness, whispering among themselves as we passed. "Who are they?" Ron muttered, glancing back at the students. "Durmstrang has a reputation for attracting those with a taste for the darker aspects of magic," Viktor said, not unkindly. "But do not judge them too harshly. They are here to learn, just as you were at Hogwarts." Finally, we reached a set of large double doors at the end of a long corridor. Viktor pushed them open to reveal a cavernous chamber filled with shelves of ancient tomes, crystal vials, and strange artifacts. The air was thick with the scent of parchment and a faint, metallic tang of old magic. "This is the heart of Durmstrang's knowledge," Viktor said, his voice reverent. "Here, we will find the information we need to understand the portals and the dark forces at work." We spread out, each of us drawn to different parts of the room. Hermione immediately gravitated towards a shelf lined with dusty tomes, her fingers trailing over the spines with a look of intense concentration. Dylan examined a set of ancient runestones, his expression thoughtful. Ron and Neville stood guard by the door, their wands at the ready. I moved to a table where a large, leather-bound book lay open. Its pages were filled with intricate diagrams and runes that seemed to pulse with an inner light. As I studied the pages, I felt a sense of foreboding settle over me. Whatever secrets Durmstrang held, they would not be uncovered easily. "We have much to learn," Viktor said quietly, standing beside me. "And little time." I nodded, my resolve hardening. The darkness that threatened our world was vast and powerful, but so were we. United by purpose and strengthened by our bonds, we would face whatever lay ahead, ready to uncover the secrets of Durmstrang and the mysteries of the portals. As the night deepened, we delved into the ancient knowledge of Durmstrang, each revelation bringing us closer to understanding the true nature of the threat we faced. And with every page turned, every spell deciphered, we felt the weight of destiny pressing upon us, urging us forward into the unknown. Chapter 18, Shadows of the Night. As the hours stretched on, our search of Durmstrang's ancient archives yielded no significant discoveries. The tomes and artifacts held within the castle's walls were fascinating, to be sure, but they offered no clues to the mysteries we sought to unravel. With a sense of frustration and weariness settling upon us, we reluctantly agreed to call it a night. Viktor Krum, our guide through the labyrinthine corridors of Durmstrang, led us to our allocated quarters. The castle seemed to echo with the whispers of ages past as we walked, the dim torchlight casting long shadows that danced along the walls. "Here we are," Viktor announced, stopping before a set of ornate wooden doors. "Your rooms for the night. Rest well, my friends. Tomorrow, we continue our search." We divided into 3 groups, each of us grateful for the chance to rest and regroup. I found myself paired with Ron once more, a comforting presence at my side as we entered our designated chamber. The room was spacious, yet somehow suffused with a sense of gloom. Heavy drapes covered the windows, blocking out the moonlight and casting the chamber into shadow. The air was cool and musty, tinged with the faint scent of ancient magic. Ron threw himself onto one of the twin beds with a sigh, his eyes weary from the day's events. "Well, that was a bust," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. I nodded in agreement, sinking into the plush armchair by the fireplace. "At least we're safe here, for now," I said, trying to muster a sense of optimism. Across the castle, Serafina and Hermione settled into their own quarters, their conversation low and murmured. They, too, had found little to glean from Durmstrang's archives, but their determination remained unshaken. In another part of the castle, Dylan and Aaron Sawyer explored their surroundings, their keen eyes searching for any signs of hidden knowledge. The air around them seemed charged with an electric energy, as if the very walls of Durmstrang held secrets waiting to be unlocked. As the night wore on, exhaustion settled over me like a heavy blanket. The events of the day replayed in my mind, each twist and turn of our journey etched into my memory. Yet, even as sleep beckoned, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the air. With a sigh, I closed my eyes, letting the darkness envelop me. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new mysteries to unravel. But for now, I allowed myself to succumb to the embrace of sleep, trusting in the strength of my friends and the bonds that united us in our quest. As I drifted off into dreams, the shadows of Durmstrang whispered their ancient secrets, and the echoes of centuries past seemed to fade into the stillness of the night. Chapter 19. The Midnight Coup. Harry jolted awake, his heart pounding in his chest. He lay still, listening intently. The silence of Durmstrang's imposing castle was pierced by the distant sound of footsteps and whispered incantations. He quickly glanced around the room, confirming that Ron and Hermione were also awake, their faces etched with concern. Without a word, the trio grabbed their synchronic wands, their tips glowing faintly in the dark. They slipped quietly out of the room, the heavy stone walls and dimly lit corridors of Durmstrang casting eerie shadows. As they rounded a corner, they nearly collided with Dylan E.T., Aaron Sawyer, and Serafina, who were also alert and ready. "Did you hear that?" Harry whispered urgently. Aaron nodded, his face grim. "Someone's here," Aaron replied. "And they're not friendly." Before they could react further, the corridor ahead exploded in a burst of light and sound. From the smoke emerged a group of Durmstrang students, their faces masked in shadow, wands raised. Leading them was a tall, menacing figure. "Hand over the synchronic wands," the leader demanded, his voice cold and authoritative. "Viktor Krum's reign ends tonight." Harry's squad tightened their grips on their weapons, their expressions steely. "You'll have to take them from us," Harry retorted, stepping forward. With a sneer, the Durmstrang leader flicked his wand, sending a jet of green light hurtling toward Harry. He blocked it just in time with a quick shield charm, and the corridor erupted into chaos. Spells flew in all directions, illuminating the dark hallways with flashes of red, blue, and yellow. The Durmstrang students moved with coordinated precision, their non-synchronic wands crackling with power. But Harry and his squad had the advantage of synchronic wands, which responded to their every thought and movement with unparalleled agility. Ron faced off against two Durmstrang students, his wands flashing as he deflected their curses. "Expelliarmus!" he shouted, disarming one of his opponents with a swift flick of his wrist. Hermione, meanwhile, was engaged in a fierce duel with another, her spells sharp and precise. She cast a series of rapid stunners, forcing her opponent to retreat. Dylan E.T. and Aaron Sawyer fought side by side, their weapons moving in perfect harmony. Dylan's technological expertise merged seamlessly with Aaron's magical prowess, creating a formidable defense. Serafina's alchemical abilities added a unique edge, her tricks disorienting the attackers. Harry found himself dueling the leader, their wands locked in a deadly dance. The air crackled with energy as they exchanged powerful curses. "You won't win this," the leader snarled, his eyes blazing with determination. "We'll see about that," Harry shot back, summoning all his strength. He cast a powerful expulso charm, sending the leader crashing into the stone wall with a resounding thud. Amidst the chaos, Viktor Krum burst into the corridor, his face a mask of fury. "Traitors!" he bellowed. Joining the fray. His arrival turned the tide of the battle, his powerful spells overwhelming the Durmstrang plotters. With a final, desperate effort, the shadowy figures tried to regroup, but the combined force of Harry's squad and Viktor was too much. One by one, the attackers were disarmed and subdued, their wands clattering to the floor. As the dust settled, Harry surveyed the damage. The corridor was a mess of scorched stone and shattered masonry. He turned to Viktor, who was breathing heavily but otherwise unharmed. "Are you all right?" he asked. Viktor nodded, his expression hard. "These cowards thought they could overthrow me," he said, his voice filled with contempt. but they underestimated Du. Harry glanced at his friends, who were similarly exhausted but unbroken. They didn't stand a chance, he said firmly. Not against us. The group gathered their fallen foes, binding them with conjured ropes. As they dragged the traitors away, Harry couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. And as they prepared for what lay ahead, he knew they would face it together, their synchronic wands an unbreakable bond guiding them through the darkness. Chapter 20. Truths Unveiled. The dimly lit chamber deep within Durmstrang's dungeons was cold and damp, the air thick with tension. Harry, Ron, Hermione, Dylan E.T., Aaron Sawyer, and Serafina stood against the rough stone walls, their eyes fixed on Viktor Krum. He stood at the center of the room, his expression a mask of grim determination. Before him, the captured Durmstrang traitors were bound to sturdy wooden chairs, their eyes flickering with defiance. Viktor held a small vial of veritaserum, the clear, viscous liquid inside shimmering ominously in the torchlight. He stepped forward, his gaze piercing the leader of the group, a tall wizard with a cruel sneer. "Enough games," Viktor said coldly. "You will tell us everything." The leader spat on the ground, his sneer widening. "I will tell you nothing." Viktor uncorked the vial with a decisive flick of his wrist and approached the leader. With a swift movement, he forced the man's mouth open and administered 3 precise drops of veritaserum. The leader's sneer faded, replaced by a blank, docile expression. Viktor stepped back, his eyes never leaving his rival. "Who orchestrated this coup?" Viktor demanded. The leader's voice was monotone, stripped of its former malice. "A sorcerer. A powerful one. He promised us power and control over Durmstrang." Viktor's brow furrowed. "Who is this sorcerer? What is his name?" The leader's eyes glazed over. "I do not know his name. He kept his identity hidden. We only ever saw his shadow, heard his voice." Harry exchanged a tense glance with Hermione. They needed more. "What else do you know about this sorcerer?" Hermione asked, stepping forward. "He possesses ancient magic," the leader responded, his tone flat. "He can summon creatures from other realms. Demons, he called them. They are the source of the portals." Dylan E.T.'s eyes narrowed thoughtfully. "What do these demons do? How are they connected to the portals?" The leader's head lolled slightly as he answered. "The demons guard the portals, controlling who passes through. They seek something, but I do not know what. The sorcerer told us to create chaos, to weaken Durmstrang from within." "Why Durmstrang?" Viktor's voice was low, dangerous. "The sorcerer needs a stronghold. Durmstrang's magical defenses and isolation make it ideal," the leader replied. "He plans to expand his influence, to use the portals to reach other magical schools and places of power." Aaron Sawyer stepped closer, his voice calm and measured. "How many more of you are working with this sorcerer?" "There are many," the leader admitted. "More than you know. Some are hidden, waiting for the signal. Others have already infiltrated other places." Harry's heart pounded. This was worse than they had feared. "How do we stop him?" he asked, his voice edged with urgency. The leader's eyes flickered with a hint of frustration, as if grappling with the veritaserum's hold. "I do not know," he finally said. "He is too powerful. He has been planning this for years." Viktor clenched his fists, a dark cloud of anger passing over his face. "We will find him," he vowed. "We will stop him." Ron, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "Do you know anything about his plans? Any weaknesses?" The leader's head lolled again. "The sorcerer is cautious. He has no known weaknesses. He operates from the shadows, always one step ahead. Hermione stepped forward, her voice soft but insistent. Anything at all. Any detail could help. The leader's eyes unfocused as he struggled to remember. There is a place. A hidden chamber beneath Durmstrang. The sorcerer spoke of it once. He said it holds secrets, old magic. Perhaps a clue lies there. Viktor nodded, determination hardening his features. We will find this chamber. And we will uncover his secrets. The group left the dungeon, their minds racing with the new information. As they ascended the stone steps back to the castle's main floors, Harry couldn't shake the feeling of impending danger. The sorcerer was out there, powerful and elusive. But they had a direction. They would find the hidden chamber and uncover the sorcerer's secrets, no matter the cost. As they prepared for what lay ahead, Harry felt a sense of unity among his friends. Together, with their synchronic wands and unwavering resolve, they would face the darkness and bring the truth to light. The battle was far from over, but they were ready. Chapter 21, The Path to Peril. The early morning sun cast a pale light over Durmstrang's rugged landscape. Inside the castle's grand hall, the group assembled, their expressions a mix of determination and trepidation. Viktor Krum stood apart from the others, his posture rigid with the weight of his responsibilities. He looked at his friends, a flicker of regret crossing his face. "Dylan, are you sure about this?" Viktor asked, his voice rough with concern. Dylan nodded firmly, his eyes gleaming with certainty. "The hidden chamber is a misdirection. We need to go to the portal, the magical runic site. That's where we'll find the answers." Harry, Hermione, Ron, Serafina, and Aaron Sawyer stood by Dylan, their synchronic wands ready. The air hummed with a sense of urgency, the weight of their mission pressing heavily upon them. Viktor sighed, his broad shoulders slumping slightly. "I wish I could go with you, but I need to secure Durmstrang. If more traitors are hiding, I must root them out." Hermione stepped forward, her voice gentle yet resolute. "We understand, Viktor. Durmstrang needs you. We'll find the sorcerer and stop him." Viktor nodded, his eyes meeting each of theirs in turn. "Be careful. This sorcerer is dangerous. And watch each other's backs." With a final nod, the group turned and left the hall, their footsteps echoing in the stone corridors. The cold wind bit at their faces as they stepped out onto the castle grounds, a reminder of the harsh world they were about to face. The journey to the magical runic site was arduous, the landscape becoming more treacherous as they ventured further from Durmstrang. Snow crunched underfoot, and the forest around them seemed to close in, the trees like silent sentinels watching their progress. "How much further?" Ron asked, his breath misting in the frigid air. "Not far now," Dylan replied, his eyes scanning the horizon. "We're almost there." As they neared the site, the atmosphere grew even colder, an unnatural chill settling over them. In the distance, the runic magical site loomed, its ancient stones etched with glowing runes. But their path was blocked. A large group of hooded, robed figures emerged from the shadows, their faces hidden beneath dark hoods. Each sorcerer was accompanied by an infernal demon familiar, grotesque creatures wielding weapons that glowed with a malevolent light. The demons, towering and menacing, moved with an unnatural grace, their eyes burning with infernal fire. The sorcerers and their familiars formed a formidable barrier between the squad and the portal. Harry gripped his wands tighter, his heart pounding in his chest. "Looks like they were expecting us." Hermione's eyes narrowed, her mind racing. "We can't fight them all. We need a plan. Dylan stepped forward, his presence commanding. We'll have to break through. Stay close and be ready for anything. The sorcerer's leader, a tall figure with an aura of dark power, stepped forward. You should not have come here, he intoned, his voice echoing ominously. We have no choice, Aaron Sawyer replied, his voice steady. We need to reach the portal. The leader laughed, a cold, mirthless sound. You will not succeed. Our master's plan is already in motion. Serafina's eyes blazed with determination. We'll see about that. The group tightened their formation, their synchronic wands raised. The air crackled with energy as the two sides faced off, tension thick in the frigid air. The demons snarled, their weapons at the ready, eyes locked on their prey. As the first rays of the sun struggled to break through the thick clouds, the scene was set for an epic confrontation. The squad stood their ground, their resolve unyielding. The leader raised his hand, and the demons advanced, weapons gleaming with infernal power. Harry's heart pounded as the clash began, spells and weapons lighting up the bleak landscape. The battle was fierce, the air filled with the sounds of magic and steel. In the chaos, Dylan's voice rang out, clear and commanding. Stay together. Protect each other. But the sheer number of their foes was overwhelming. The sorcerers and their demon familiars pressed forward, their assault relentless. Just as it seemed they might be overrun, a blinding explosion erupted from the center of the battlefield. Chapter 22, The Infernal Turncoat. The air was thick with the stench of sulfur and the sounds of clashing metal and sizzling spells. I dodged another infernal demon's fiery blade, my heart pounding in my chest. Dylan E.T. was a blur of motion, his enchanted armor glinting under the pale sunlight as he wielded his blade forged with deadly precision. The chaos of battle surrounded us, but amidst the chaos, a sudden explosion rocked the battlefield. One of the demons erupted into a million pieces, a shockwave of dark energy rippling outwards. The blast sent shards of demonic flesh flying, damaging other demons and causing them to recoil in pain. I glanced around, trying to understand what had happened. In the midst of the confusion, one of the sorcerers on the opposing side turned against her own comrades. I saw her raise her wand, her face twisted in defiance. She had been the one to destroy her own demon familiar, and now she was attacking the other sorcerers with a fierce determination. The demon had recognized its impending doom, but it had been powerless to stop its own destruction. Dylan seized the opportunity, charging into the fray. His blade forge cleaved through the sorcerers with a relentless ferocity, each strike precise and powerful. He fought his way towards the rogue sorceress, and I could see the determination in his eyes. Keep pushing forward, Dylan shouted, his voice rising above the din of battle. We need to reach the portal. Hermione, Ron, Serafina, Aaron, and I rallied, our synchronic wands glowing with shared energy. We cast spell after spell, pushing back the infernal demons and the remaining sorcerers. The battlefield was a blur of magical energy and flashing weapons. Dylan reached the sorceress, and together they fought their way back towards us, their combined efforts cutting a path through the enemy ranks. The sorcerers were thrown into disarray, unable to withstand the combined assault of their former ally and Dylan's formidable prowess. We need to move, now. Dylan urged, his eyes scanning the horizon for any remaining threats. With the sorcerers and demons momentarily stunned by the sudden betrayal in their ranks, we pushed forward with renewed vigor. The path to the magical runic site portal was finally clear, and we sprinted towards it, our breaths coming in ragged gasps. As we crossed into the site, the ancient runes began to glow, awakening the guardians. Massive stone statues, imbued with protective enchantments, came to life. Their eyes glowed with an eerie light, and they moved with a mechanical grace, their presence imposing and unyielding. But before we could take a breath, the remaining sorcerers regrouped, their numbers bolstered by a fresh wave of infernal demons. The battlefield was set for a three-way clash, the guardians defending the portal, the sorcerers and demons attacking, and us caught in the middle. "Stay close," Hermione shouted, her wand at the ready. The guardians advanced, their stone limbs moving with surprising speed. They swung massive weapons, cleaving through demons and sorcerers alike. We joined the fray, our spells and synchronic wands creating a dazzling display of magical power. The battle was fierce, the air filled with the sounds of combat and the smell of scorched earth. Dylan fought alongside the rogue sorceress, their combined might proving to be a formidable force. Serafina's spells crackled with energy, Ron's curses exploded with precision, and Hermione's enchantments provided crucial support. We were outnumbered, but we fought with everything we had, determined to reach the portal and uncover the truth behind the sorcerer's plans. The Guardians, though initially a threat, began to focus their attacks on the demons and sorcerers, recognizing the greater danger they posed. Amidst the chaos, I caught a glimpse of the portal, its swirling energy beckoning us forward. We were so close, but the battle was far from over. The rogue sorceress fought valiantly, but she was gravely outnumbered, and the remaining sorcerers converged on her position. "Dylan," I shouted, pointing towards the overwhelmed sorceress. Dylan nodded, his eyes filled with determination. "We have to help her. She's our only chance to get through this." Together, we fought our way towards her, spells flying and weapons clashing. The Guardians, recognizing our intent, shifted their focus, providing us with a narrow window to reach the portal. As we closed in on the sorceress, the battlefield erupted into even greater chaos. The Guardians, demons, and sorcerers clashed in a titanic struggle, the very ground trembling beneath their feet. We reached the sorceress, forming a protective circle around her. With a final, desperate push, we fought our way to the portal, the swirling energy casting an eerie glow over our faces. The sorceress, breathing heavily, nodded her thanks. "We're almost there," Hermione said, her voice filled with a mix of relief and urgency. But as we stepped towards the portal, a new threat emerged from the shadows. A towering figure, cloaked in darkness and exuding a palpable aura of malevolence, blocked our path. The sorcerer behind the demonic summoning had arrived, and the battle was far from over. The chapter ended with a cliffhanger, the outcome of our desperate fight hanging in the balance as we faced this new, terrifying adversary. Chapter 23, The Demonic Confrontation. The air was electric with tension as the towering sorcerer stepped out of the shadows, his presence casting a dark pall over the battlefield. He was cloaked in black robes, his face hidden beneath a hood that seemed to absorb all light. As he approached, the ground beneath us seemed to tremble, and the air grew colder. "Lilith," the sorcerer intoned, his voice a deep, resonant rumble that sent shivers down my spine. "I knew your treachery would catch up with you eventually." Lilith, the sorceress who had turned against her comrades, stood her ground. Her eyes were fierce, but there was a flicker of fear as she faced the sorcerer who had summoned the demons. "Your reign of terror ends here," she spat, raising her wand defiantly. The sorcerer laughed, a cold, mirthless sound that echoed across the battlefield. "Foolish girl," he sneered. You think you can stop me? I command forces beyond your understanding. Behind him, a massive shape loomed into view, a Balrog, its fiery eyes glowing with malevolent intelligence. The demon's whip of flame cracked in the air, sending sparks flying. The very sight of it sent a wave of dread through our ranks. Dylan, we need a plan, I whispered urgently, my eyes never leaving the towering figure of the Balrog. We fight, Dylan replied, his voice steady despite the dire situation. But we must be smart about it. Harry, lead the charge with Ron and Hermione. Serafina, Aaron, and I will cover you. We nodded, determination stealing our nerves. With a deep breath, I raised my wand, the familiar weight of it a comfort in my hand. Expelliarmus, I shouted, aiming at the sorcerer. He deflected the spell effortlessly, a cruel smile playing on his lips. You will need more than that, Potter. The battle erupted in a frenzy of spells and flames. Hermione's and Ron's wands flashed as they unleashed a barrage of curses and hexes. Serafina and Aaron followed suit, their synchronic wands weaving intricate patterns of magic. Dylan charged forward, his blade forge slicing through the air with deadly precision. The Balrog roared, its fiery whip lashing out. The ground shook with each step it took, and the heat radiating from its body was nearly unbearable. I cast a shield charm just in time to deflect a burst of flame, but the force of it sent me stumbling back. Serafina, we need to focus on the Balrog. Hermione shouted, her eyes wide with fear but her voice steady. Serafina nodded, her face set with grim determination. Together, we directed our spells at the towering demon, trying to find a weakness. The Balrog's hide was tough, and our spells seemed to barely make a dent. Dylan, we need to distract it. I called out, hoping he had a plan. Dylan nodded, his eyes blazing with determination. He charged towards the Balrog, his blade forge glowing with a fierce light. Over here, Balrog, he shouted, swinging his weapon with all his might. The blade forge struck the demon's leg, causing it to roar in pain and turn its attention to him. Now, everyone, hit it with everything you've got. Hermione commanded, and we unleashed a torrent of spells at the Balrog. The demon staggered under the combined assault, but it was far from defeated. The sorcerer, seeing his demon under attack, raised his wand and began to chant. Dark energy crackled around him, and he directed a powerful curse at Dylan. Lilith intercepted it with a shield charm, but the force of the spell sent her sprawling. Serafina, get back, I shouted, but it was too late. The Balrog's fiery whip lashed out, wrapping around Serafina and lifting her into the air. She screamed, struggling against the burning coils. Serafina, Aaron cried, rushing forward, but the Balrog swung her out of reach, its eyes glowing with cruel amusement. We have to retreat, Hermione shouted, her voice filled with desperation. We can't fight this thing head-on. Dylan, his face a mask of fury, nodded reluctantly. Fall back, everyone. We need to regroup. With one last, desperate effort, we cast a barrage of spells at the Balrog, forcing it to release Serafina. She fell to the ground, and Aaron and I rushed to her side, helping her to her feet. Let's go, I urged, casting a shield charm to cover our retreat. The sorcerer and his Balrog advanced, but we managed to fall back to a safer distance. As we retreated, the sorcerer's laughter echoed behind us, a chilling promise of the battles still to come. We had survived the encounter, but the true fight was far from over. Chapter 24, The Last Stand. The ancient runic site reverberated with chaos. The air crackled with magic and the stench of sulfur from the advancing demons. Infernal weapons gleamed menacingly in the flickering light, and the sorcerers controlling the demon familiars chanted dark incantations that sent chills down Harry's spine. At the heart of the portal, their adversary, a crazed being, cavorted hysterically with his towering Balrog, a monstrous entity of fire and shadow. Harry ducked as a bolt of fiery energy whizzed past his ear, leaving the air singed. "We can't hold them off forever," he shouted, his voice barely audible over the din of battle. Lilith, her brow furrowed in concentration, cast another shield charm that deflected a barrage of infernal projectiles. "We need reinforcements. Is there anyone you can call?" she cried, her voice strained. Neville, standing steadfast with his wand aloft, nodded in agreement. "Dumbledore's army," he said urgently, "we still have the coins." Harry's heart leapt at the suggestion. The DA coins, a symbol of their unity and resilience during the darkest days, could be their salvation. With a swift motion, Harry pulled his coin from his pocket, its surface glowing faintly in response to his touch. "We call them now," he ordered, urgency lacing his voice. One by one, the squad members retrieved their coins. Hermione, Ron, Neville, and Harry pressed their wands to the enchanted galleons, sending out a desperate call for help. A pulse of magic emanated from the coins, a beacon of hope in the midst of despair. Within moments, a series of bright, shimmering lights filled the runic site as members of Dumbledore's army apparated in. Luna Lovegood, with her dreamy expression, stood ready, her wand already alight with a spell. Ginny Weasley, fierce determination in her eyes, appeared beside her, her wand held high. Dean Thomas, Seamus Finnegan, and the Pottle twins followed, each ready to fight. Harry felt a surge of hope as he saw his friends, his comrades, arriving. "DA, to me!" he bellowed, rallying the group. "We stand together." The DA formed a tight circle around Harry's squad, wands raised in unison. The air hummed with the combined power of their magic, a force of light against the encroaching darkness. "Protega Maxima," Hermione shouted, and a shimmering dome of protection enveloped the group, deflecting the demonic onslaught. "Expelliarmus," Neville's voice rang out, disarming a sorcerer who had been directing a demon towards them. Luna, her voice calm amidst the chaos, cast a Patronus charm. A silver hair bounded forth, scattering a group of demons. Ginny's hex sent another into a fit of confusion, giving Ron and Aaron the opening they needed to unleash a volley of stunning spells. Dylan E.T., wielding his blade forge, danced through the fray with Serafina at his side. Their combined magic wove intricate patterns of light, confounding the demons and pushing them back. Serafina's alchemical prowess infused her tricks with explosive energy, each blast sending elemental waves through the enemy ranks. Harry, with his heart pounding and adrenaline coursing through his veins, faced the crazed sorcerer at the portal's center. The Balrog loomed behind, a towering inferno of rage. "It ends here," Harry muttered, his grip tightening on his synchronic wands. Reducto. Harry's spell struck the Lich, who staggered but did not fall. The Balrog roared in response, its fiery whip lashing out. Harry flew 10 feet in the air, the heat searing his skin. Stupefy. Ginny and Hermione's spells collided with the sorcerer, breaking his concentration. With a guttural snarl, the Balrog lunged, but Dylan E.T. and Neville stepped forward, their weapons blazing with power. "Together!" Dylan shouted, and the squad channeled their magic into a combined assault. Light and energy surged forth, striking the Balrog and the portal with overwhelming force. The ground trembled as the portal began to collapse, the runes flickering and dying. The sorcerer, his control shattered, screamed in fury and desperation. With one final, desperate act, Harry and his friends unleashed their full might, banishing the sorcerer and his demonic minions into the void. The runic site fell silent, the echoes of battle fading into the night. Exhausted but victorious, Harry looked around at his friends, his family. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, their bonds unbreakable. "Let's send an owl to the minister," Ron panted, wiping sweat from his brow. "Yes," Neville nodded, his face set with determination. "We've got a world to protect." With a final, weary glance at the pulsating portal, Harry led the way. Dash 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 dash.